Hello, hello, hello. It's Lillian Reiki here from Parent Support Network, coming in today with episode 39 of Parent Support Network TV. I hope you are doing awesomely well and enjoying your day so far. So today in episode 39, I thought I would share something that's actually come out of the parenting course that I'm currently teaching. So for those of you who have listened into any of my talks before, you'll know that I'm extremely passionate about something called the Nurtured Heart approach. So when I'm coaching with parents or talking to parents, often, one of the first things that parents want to know is, how do we teach the rules? How do we implement the rules? What consequences do we give if rules are broken? And how do we make sure that our rules and consequences are effective, that they work? And interestingly, prior to understanding the Nurtured Heart approach, I saw that so many parents were trying to teach the rules when rules were being broken. In other words, if the child was disrespectful, they tried to give the lecture or the sermon or the talking to about how it's not nice to be disrespectful, that's a rule broken in our home. We want people to respect each other. And they give a lot of energy and attention and connection and relationship to the children when rules are being broken. And often the children aren't open to learning about the rules when they know they've just broken it, and they know they've done the wrong thing, and they're not necessarily receptive to learning about it then. And the other thing too is you're actually giving more energy and connection relationship to the child when the rule has been broken. And for some children, particularly the more intense and challenging children, that's a green light for them to go, hey, break more rules and I'll get more attention, more relationship from mum or dad or teacher or whoever that person is. So that's a key thing as well. Teaching the rules when rules are being broken is giving the green light to them, going, hey, this is what works. This is how I get that connection, that relationship that I'm so seeking. So in the Nurtured Heart approach, we have 3 stands. So stand 1 is absolutely no. So that's not giving energy, attention and connection, relationship to things that are negative or that are not moving in the direction that we want them to. So we give that as little energy as possible. Of course, always making sure the child is safe and people around them are safe, but not giving energy. So not really energizing that situation. Then stand 2 is absolutely yes. So that's the opposite. That's coming in now and giving beautiful connected energy and relationship, not only when things are going right, but even when baby steps are made moving forward towards going right. And that could be the teensiest tiny little baby step forward from where they were maybe seconds or minutes prior. And stand 3, which is where we talk about rules and consequences, is absolutely clear, or absolute clarity. So it's really about having absolute clarity, first of all, on what your rules are, and secondly, on how you're going to deal with those and what the consequences might be. So in the past, I have always been an advocate of positive rules, letting the child know what it is we want them to do or what we want them to follow. In my experience of working with the Nurtured Heart approach now for about 8 years, I've come to the realization that particularly for more intense and challenging children, that sometimes those positive rules can be a little bit wishy-washy for the child. So they don't necessarily know how to interpret them if, we're using a rule that is not really clear. So often for the more intense and challenging children, some of the key rules, like, no being disrespectful, no shouting, no hitting, no punching, no damaging property, they are clearer to the child, because when you say no damaging property, it's pretty obvious. Whereas if we set a positive rule that might be look after each other's things, that may not be as clear for the child. So sometimes giving no rules can give a little bit more clarity, particularly to those more intense and challenging children. However, whatever rules you implement, whether it be a positively worded or a rule starting with no, just make sure that the children are absolutely clear. So it's really important to be consistent. So if today your rule is no throwing things, for example, and you're really with it and you're on top of that. Okay, our rule is no throwing things. We don't throw things in this house. That's our rule, no throwing things. And then the child, understands that's what the rule is. But if you're like, oh, my defenses are down today, I'm tired, and the kid's throwing things around and you don't give that attention, then the kid's going to be confused. So is the rule we can throw things, or no, we're not allowed to throw things? So first of all, I would suggest sitting down with your children, assuming that they're age appropriate, to discuss the rules. So what are appropriate rules for us to have in the home? Also keeping in mind that if it is a rule for the home, I believe, and once again, it's up to you, but I believe that that rule should be for everybody. So it's hardly fair if you say to the child, no swearing, right, as a rule in our home, and then you use inappropriate words or swear yourself. That is not congruent with the rules. If you say, the rule is no shouting at other people in the home, and you shout at other people in the home, then that's not congruent with the rules. So make sure when you are setting rules with the family that everybody understands what the rules are and that they're going to follow them. And then, of course, when rules are being broken, that is not the best time to come in and address the rule that's being broken. The idea is to, in the Nurtured Heart approach, we have something, a really beautiful consequence called the reset. So I know when it comes to consequences, you've probably tried things like timeout. So timeout is really probably the main consequence that parents use. So it's timeout. It might be go to your room. It might be, sit in the timeout corner or chair, or just it might be timeout as in you're grounded for an older child. Timeout from spending time with your friends and doing the things that you want to do. It could be another common consequence is taking away privileges. So, okay, no computer for 24 hours, or take their phone away, or, take a particular toy away if they're a younger child. So taking things away, or maybe taking away the privilege of going out to an event or, a party or something like that is, taking something away. And another common one is adding something on. So giving like a job, or, okay, you need to do extra chores. You need to go and clean out that cupboard, or you need to do the dishes, or go and mow the grass, or, some sort of community service. Now, there might be a need at some stage for a community service type of thing for something a little bit more extreme. But I think, we tend to use these sort of approaches for breaking the rules far too often. And usually kids, don't learn from that. They don't learn from, okay, I've broken a rule and now I've got to mow the grass, or I've broken a rule, I threw a book at my sister and now I had my phone taken away from me. Like, they're not really even related, if that makes sense. So in the Nurtured Heart approach, we teach something called a reset. And what we aim to do with children is, first of all, to look for every opportunity where we can acknowledge them for doing the things that are moving closer to a rule that we want followed. So, for example, if it was, let's say, the rule is no being disrespectful, or no speaking inappropriately to people, or no swearing, what we need to do is be really mindful and look out for all of the opportunities where the children are following the rules. And if you think about it, no matter how challenging a child is, it's impossible for them to be breaking rules for every minute of their waking hours. There are going to be opportunities when they're not breaking the rules, and that's a time when we can come in and acknowledge them for following the rules in that moment. And also looking for opportunities when they are doing the things that we're wanting to grow in them. So, for example, let's stick with respect. If one of your issues with a particular child in your home, or maybe if you're an educator in your classroom, is that they're disrespectful, then what we need to do is look for opportunities for when they are being respectful. Once again, even if it's just a tiny little bit of being respectful, that's still being respectful. I love how when I was speaking to you just then, Johnny, that you looked at me, you looked into my eyes and you were paying attention. And that really shows me that you're being respectful in the moment, and being, aware of me speaking to you, and giving me the common courtesy of respect. So that's how you build the things that you want in your children, by acknowledging them when they are doing them, as opposed to when they have broken that rule and perhaps they have been disrespectful. You know, it's not great to be disrespectful. It's not nice. People don't like being spoken to like that, you know, and giving all that energy and attention when they have been disrespectful usually doesn't work, right? So we need to look for those opportunities to come in and really acknowledge the child for the greatness that they're showing in that moment. And it might be like, you know, 60 seconds ago, they were arguing and perhaps using inappropriate language with their sibling. Say their sibling took something of theirs and they got angry and they, you know, they raised their voice at their sibling, or might have even thrown something at them. And, you know, you could say to that child, the rule in our home is, you know, that we don't throw things at people. We don't use inappropriate language or, you know, say nasty words to them. So you can invite your child to what we call reset. You could say, I need you to reset, or maybe it's time for a reset. Or it could be, if everybody's escalated, you might say, I think we all need to reset. And what a reset is just a really quick, what we still call a consequence, but it's probably not much of a consequence. It's a really, it's a way to help our children to self-regulate. So it's just a quick way of saying to that child, okay, in this moment, you're breaking a rule or you're acting inappropriately, and I'd like you to reset your thinking around that. So it could just be a quick, you know, the child could just, you know, take a few deep breaths, or just, you know, walk away from the situation, or just, you know, think to themselves, okay, I've broken a rule. What should I be doing? Just giving them that opportunity to reset their thinking and to get back in the game again. It might be like we need to give a really clear direction, like I need you to stop throwing things at your brother, or I need you to keep tantruming until, I just heard this example, I need you to keep tantruming until you're ready to stop, and then you know, we can discuss this. So let the child get their tantrum over with, and then say, hey, I love how you just listened to me when I said, you know, if you needed to keep tantruming to do so, and you did, but now you've stopped, or now you're starting to calm yourself down. And you know what that really shows me is that you've got great self-control. So rather than focusing on the fact that they did continue to tantrum, or that they were even tantruming in the first place, but showing them that they do have the ability to control that. You know, now you're not tantruming. Now you are, you know, you've stopped. Now you've taken a breath. Now you are, you know, you are listening. Now you are following the rules. Now you are being more respectful and thoughtful and considerate. So whatever it is that happens to be happening in that situation. And it's a little bit like, you know, the video game. If you think of a video game, and kids love video games for many reasons, but for one of the reasons is that the video game is very predictable. So when the child does break a rule, or gets, you know, kicked out of the game, or loses points, or whatever happens in these games, is that they know what the rule is. So if they know what the consequence is. So if that rule is broken, or if you miss a target, or whatever happens, they know such and so is going to happen predictably. There's not going to be any nagging from the game. The game's not going to come in and say, you silly idiot, why did you do that? Why didn't you listen? Why didn't you learn from doing it the last time? The consequence is just going to happen, right? The reset is going to happen. They're going to get kicked out of the game. But then once they've, you know, taken a few deep breaths and said to themselves, okay, I mucked that up, I did that wrong, or whatever happened in the game, they can get back in the game again and reset the game and start again. With more enthusiasm and more perhaps know-how as to how not to break that rule again, so they can stay in the game longer. So it's a little bit the same with our parenting. So if what we call in the video games in the game, so if they're having fun and they're excited and they're enjoying the game and it's fulfilling for them, if our in the game time in our home is where children are enjoying our interactions, enjoying our relationships, enjoying being a part of our family, then when they do break a rule and they are asked to reset, they're probably going to want to get back into the game quickly. And if you allow them the opportunity to just pause, you know, open their hearts, take some breaths, and then go, okay, I'm ready to get back in the game again. I'm ready to start following the rules, or I'm ready to stop that inappropriate behavior. Because first of all, they're not going to be punished in a big way. You know, they know that the consequence can be over with quickly, and they can get back into the game of positivity. They can get back into the game of enjoying whatever they were doing, the games they were playing, the movie they were watching, or the interaction they were having with their siblings or their family, or whatever happened to be happening when they were escalated. They can get back into that game quickly. And that actually allows and helps us to help our children to control themselves, or to use self-control. Okay, I've broken a rule. We all do, right? Whether we're kids or adults, I've broken a rule, I've mucked up, but I've got the opportunity now just to do a quick reset that can take as little time as a few seconds. Sometimes it might take a minute or two, or sometimes it might take longer. Sometimes the child might opt themselves for their reset to give themselves time out. They might be so escalated that for them to reset, they need to go into their room and put some music on, or they might need to walk out in the backyard and, you know, jump up and down, or, you know, punch a punching bag, or, yeah, music's a good one for kids, put their loud music on, or they might need to do something like that to reset. But the great thing is they know that once they've done that reset, that the parents are going to be coming back to them with positive acknowledgement. I love how, even though you were just really angry with your sister just, 5 minutes ago, and you spoke to her inappropriately, but I love how you've chosen to reset yourself. You took yourself away from the situation. You went into your room for a few minutes. You did whatever you needed to do to reset. And now you're back and you're ready to interact and communicate in a positive way with your sister. And I really appreciate that. I really appreciate how you could reset yourself and use that self-control, and now come back into a place of being kind and thoughtful and considerate, and hanging out with your sister in a positive way. And so you're giving them all that relationship, all that energy, all that connection, for congratulating them for coming back into a positive space. And sometimes we can even hijack kids, right? If they are mucking up, but even if they just take a breath and pause for a moment, we can say, hey, I can see you're escalated. I can see you're upset, but I love how you've just paused, and it looks like to me like you're starting to regain some control back, and you're using great self-control in this moment. And I really appreciate that. You sure have, the greatness of amazing self-control, because, you could have really gone on yelling and screaming and carrying on, but you didn't. You've slowed down. You've realized that you were escalated, and now you are resetting yourself. And I just want to let you know how much, I appreciate that you're doing that in this moment. So you're giving them all of that juicy relationship for, when they're starting to make better decisions. So often kids, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, learn that they get the juiciest communication and relationship from us when they're breaking the rules, because often when they are doing the right thing, for example, they don't get a lot of attention or relationship or connection. So we might be too busy to come in and give them relationship when they're doing the right thing. But then as soon as they muck up, as soon as you hear a bit of raucous, the kids yelling or fighting, or you can hear that things are being thrown around, then you're never too busy, right, to come in and give energy to the negative situation. So kids, especially if this happens from an early age, get to learn that, I've got this game worked out. When I behave and follow the rules, and I'm cooperative and quiet and play nicely and kind to my sister, I don't get a lot of relationship from that. But as soon as I muck up, as soon as I break a rule and yell or scream, or I'm nasty, or I throw something, wow, then I get a lot of relationship. This is pretty easy to work out, right? And kids then learn, from young kids right through to teens and beyond, that they get that best relationship when they break rules, when they muck up. I don't like to call it attention seeking. I like to call it relationship seeking, because what they're actually seeking is relationship from you, from their favorite toy, whether you're a parent or, somebody that's important to them in their lives that they're communicating with. Could be a teacher, could be a parent, could be a grandparent, could even be a close friend. or family member. So I hope that has helped you today in regards to rules and consequences. So just a quick summary, make sure everybody in the family knows what the rules are, be consistent with them, make sure that everybody in the home, especially the grown-ups, you know, the parents, follow the rules as well. And parents, if you do happen to break a rule, you can show by example to your children, hey, I've just mucked up, I've just broken that rule, I just used an inappropriate word, or I yelled or shouted, I need to reset, and show them that you taking some breaths, you know, really opening your heart up and pausing. I call that the BOP, breathe, open your heart and pause, taking the time to reset yourself and then coming back in a more positive way. So you can show and show the children by example as well how to reset. So be consistent. So know what the rules are, be consistent, and remember the importance of not giving energy to when the rule is broken, but giving the appropriate energy, attention, and relationship when rules are being followed or steps towards rules are being followed. So I hope that helps. If you need further clarity on that, feel free to reach out. I've actually just in the midst of teaching this in our current parenting class, Nurture Your Heart to Greatness. I'm actually going to pop in the comments below a new free resource page that you can access, where you can access one of 4 free things. So firstly, you can opt in to have a free consultation. So if you'd like to chat to me, there's a 30-minute free consultation there where we can, you know, chat about your family and your needs. You can download my latest masterclass, the abridged version, so it's just a little bit over an hour. You can download my Revolting Child book for free, which is normally $14.97 for the ebook version. So you can get that for free, which is our family's whole story from my pregnancy with my son through to him being about just before 16. And the 4th thing is for those people who love to read but maybe don't have time to read this book that might take about 4 hours, I've put together a 3,000-word summary and an update on since writing this book. So it's called The Revolting Child Revisited. So if you just want something that's going to take you about 10 minutes or so to read, you can download that and have a quick read, and that might then encourage you later to read this as well. So that's it from me today. Lillian Reiki, parenting strategist from Parent Support Network, equipping parents to enjoy happy and healthy children on purpose. Thanks and bye for now. Catch you next week.